guys, we are here with the one and only Miss Amber McCue. Amber, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. So pumped to be here.
So excited to be here. We've known each other for a couple of years, and I really admire you, and I'm always inspired by your business and inspired by the way you run it and the clear priorities that you have. We're going to get into all of that today, but I'm so thrilled to chat with you today.
Same end to end, 100%.
So for those who might, be living under a rock and not know Amber McCue, why don't you share with us like who you are and what you do?
Yeah,
Cole's notes. Yeah,
definitely. I run two businesses. Photography business, threeboudoir.com, not necessarily suitable for office environment or kids. So a little warning there. I also run online consulting business where I partner with micropreneurs, small business owners, modern CEOs on scaling and growing their business. Understanding what do I need to do to get where I want to be going. And we've set up the businesses so that we can do that from anywhere in the world. My husband has a job that takes us, right now we're in Chicago. Pre-COVID, we were in Ethiopia, Maryland, California, going back to Africa soon, I hope. So it allows us to go anywhere, and we're having a lot of fun on these adventures.
And just for so people understand, which one came first? It was photography, and then you started the consulting business?
Oh, good question. So, I was thinking they started in a little bit of a hairball.
Okay.
I was thinking I wanted to go down the coaching path, life coaching, really. I was in an MBA program. They were talking about executive coaches and business coaching, and I'm testing life coaching, and we're playing with photography on the side, and all sort of a quick series of events. I'm realizing, I really still love business, but I want to focus on small business where we can be more nimble and agile.
Mm-hmm.
I think now I go back into corporate and have a blast because I'm super clear on how I want to show up and what I will do and what I won't do.
Right.
So like now I'm like, okay, easy, got this. But I really have a passion for small business. And then on the flip side, the photography business, we actually took photos for my husband. He was overseas at the time. I grabbed a photographer friend. I grabbed my former Playboy model friend.
Oh, hey.
We created this experience and people started asking. We're like, okay, I think we've got something here, but I didn't want to let go of this life coaching, really knew I wanted to focus on business consulting.
Right.
And they were both happening kind of parallel.
Wild.
Yeah.
Because often it would be that you kind of like learned the ropes in being a small business owner with a photography business and then pivoted into this sort of coaching consulting type of world. Yeah. So interesting that both kind of happened at the same time. I can only imagine the learning that like the learning curves in like years 1, 2, 3 for both at the same time.
For both. And it's interesting because I highly recommend not starting two businesses at the same time. And I really kept them at different stages, just naturally. You can't focus on all the things. So if people are thinking like, oh yeah, I got 2 ideas, start with one, get it going. And what I would do really is we really focused on the photography business first because my business partner was in it with me. We motivated each other, and coaching and consulting kind of lagged, which was perfect to your point, because I'm like, oh, wait a second. These things do support each other. These are things we're missing when we're starting up our businesses. Let's make sure those are covered when we're doing the work.
Exactly. I love that. So I know you use this term modern CEO like throughout your brand. Can you speak to that a little bit and explain for everybody listening what that really means to you, the modern CEO?
When we're running businesses, there are so many different titles that come up, right? Business owner, founder, co-founder, solopreneur, mompreneur, all the things. And what I really want us to be sure that we embody is shift, modern CEO. And CEO kind of elevates the role and makes many of us, even sometimes me, a little bit uncomfortable because I'm like, no, I don't identify with that. And this is why I want to redefine what it means to grow a business, elevate into this role of modern CEO, because it doesn't look like what being a CEO used to look like, right? We're not working our way to the top floor corner office that looks out over all the buildings, right? Maybe if we're lucky, a little bit of water and some trees in there. But this is the modern CEO is about doing business well and doing it in a way that aligns with how you want to show up in life, whether you're working from the lake house or working from your grandma's kitchen table or the coffee shop, or it's winter, so you don't leave the house, for a couple months. Winter is coming here in Chicago. So you get to define what this looks like and really embodying that and understanding what your values are and still understanding what it takes to run a business.
Yeah, so good. And I feel like everybody's version of what that modern CEO looks like is different.
Totally. 100%.
I remember hearing you talk once about the $10 bill versus like that concept.
Yeah.
And I've repeated it, but I always give you credit to my students. I'm like, Amber McCue says. So can you take people through that analogy of like focusing on the $100 bills versus the $10 bills and what that means?
My gosh. Yes. I have a superpower, Gemma. Money is going to blow into the room that you are sitting in right now as you listen. It's, of course, with a superpower this good, there's going to be a catch. The money is only going to be blowing in for 30 seconds. So you've got 30 seconds to grab as much money as you can. They're going to be fives, they're going to be tens, and there, of course, are going to be the honeys coming in. Ready, set, go, 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 get the money, Okay. All right. We're not going a full 30 seconds with my loudness, but I don't want to hurt anyone's ears too long. But okay, did we go into that with a strategy? Or do we just, give me the money. We played into the hype that I just threw out there. We just went without a plan, without a strategy, and we just grabbed whatever we could get. Versus if you go in with the plan, give me the 100. Oh, thank you. There's 100. Oh, there's a 100 behind Gemma over there. Yep. I see 100 by the door. You may walk away with 1,000, right? You may walk away with 2,000 because you were strategic and you were focused. Now, on the flip side, maybe you'll grab a couple hundreds. Maybe you'll grab a handful of fives. We just don't know, right? You might get lucky. You might not, because we weren't focused. We didn't have a strategy. We didn't have a plan. So I want to invite people to build the strategy, build the plan, go after what it is that you see for yourself and that you have the capability to get. And when you build that plan, we have to continually come back to the question, is this a $100 bill or am I focused on a 5 right now?
Yeah. So good. So good. It really helps you make a lot of big decisions in your business, actually, when you bring it down to that core question.
Yes.
And is that what you talk, when you talk about the millionaire mindset, is that similar to this, or is there like a special definition of that?
Very similar. And embodying what it is that we want and living it now, right? Like we don't have to wait until we've got the stack of 100s in our lap. In fact, I'm reading a book called, is it called The Magic or is it called Power? It's a new Rhonda Bryn book. It's in the series of The Secret.
Okay.
And I was a little bit leery because I didn't read The Secret edition 2, which apparently is a little bit more practical. Because the first time I read The Secret, I think I was in, I don't know, college or high school.
Yeah, it was
I was like, I don't get it. You just think it and it happens. All right. I've got some new perspectives on that now. But this book that I'm reading actually turned out to be all about gratitude. So I've been doing a daily gratitude practice this year, building upon what is in this book. And one of the recommendations is to take a $100 bill. Like, okay, well, I have to. I talk about $100 bills all the time, but she said to just put it out in front of you. It's actually in my bathroom. So I see it every morning and it says, I'm on it. You write. I didn't want to write on the money. I put a sticker on it and wrote.
Let's not hurt that money.
Exactly. I want to keep this. And on it, you write, I'm grateful for all of the money I've ever received in my life.
Wow.
And then you think about in the book, she has you walk through this exercise of what are all of the things that you have that have given you money? What are all of the things that you've had that you didn't pay for that came from someone else's money? I'm like, oh yeah, I had that Mercury Grand Marquis, that giant car when I was a kid. I didn't have to pay for that. I'm really grateful. And you just, the shoes, everything. So practicing and embodying, all right, this is the life I'm going to live. What am I going to start embracing from this now? And it might be a schedule. It might be, compassionate, kind, loving boundaries that you set for yourself. It might be a business opportunity you do not pursue because it is shiny and it is sexy, but it is not the right thing for you. So it's really stepping into that full blown, from getting comfortable with having someone to help with your laundry so you can focus on the business. Like, yes.
It can be hard, I think, especially for women to step into that. So, and not feel like guilt around needing to do all the things.
Yes.
And yeah. Okay. Oh, this actually brings me to the next point, which I'm really excited to talk to you about, which is hiring, because I think that you have, just such thoughtful, wisdom around hiring. I think people can be really scared to make that first hire or second, third, fourth, fifth hire. I know I have some fears about hiring. I have a team, but going beyond what I currently have, can we talk first about, let's talk first about that first hire. Like, what do people really need to consider when they're making that first hire?
100%. You have to define the role. I see people, I need a VA.
Right.
Okay, great. What will that person be doing with you? What do you need them to do? Yes, they're going to come with their own ideas, but you need to have some clarity on this because otherwise it's very discouraging for the person you bring onto your team. They're like, okay, what should I do? Okay, I see some things here. Are these the right things? And then I see people on the flip side get discouraged because they're like, they're not helping. Right. Well, what did you want them to help with? Well, I didn't really figure that all out yet. So this is like basic. We're getting ready to onboard and actually make offers to a couple of people in my consulting business right now. And we're going through the same thing. No, what exactly do we want them to do? Because it was just going to be one role and we found two great candidates. We're like, no, we got to break this down before we extend offers because otherwise there's going to be confusion.
Right. And that's such good advice. And I also think that sometimes what happens is people think, all of these people that I look up to have a VA. So let me hire a VA because that's going to be what gets me to the level of success that they have. And that totally wasn't the catapult that took them there. So often people are relying on that hire to somehow wave a magic wand.
Yeah. And specifically around the virtual assistant term, it's very broad. It's very general. I prefer not to even use that term, right? Someone may call themselves that, and that gives me some indication that, okay, let me see what they do, but what do they focus on? Do they focus on SEO? Do they focus on customer service, social media? So getting clear on that. And then as we step further into the hiring process, you have to know what you need so you can ask the right questions. And many times we don't quite get that interview process down. So interviewing really well, going through a strong process on that, critical.
So important. So let's dive in for a second to the fear around hiring. And maybe I'm asking this partly also from a personal point of view. Amber, give me some coaching. Let's use this podcast episode. Free coaching. Because the thing is, I actually hear this reflected by a lot of people that I talk to. There's a fear, it's twofold. Number one, a fear around hiring and feeling like, OMG, now I need to be secure enough in my finances to feel like I can always pay them that salary or whatever that looks like month over month over month. And that feels daunting and scary. And what if everything falls out from under me? So that's fear number one. And fear number two is actually a fear around managing people. It's going to take so much time and become, a big job when I just want to run an easy, carefree business. So can you speak to those two fears?
Absolutely. on the budget first
Yeah.
and thinking about the financials. I totally get it, right? We are growing our businesses. We're thinking about the financials for the business, what we're pouring in, what we bring home, as we should as modern CEOs. And okay, at some point, we can't do this all alone. We talked about it at the beginning. Like, we don't want to. This doesn't support our lifestyle. Someone else can do this better. In fact, Lewis Schiff in the book Business Brilliant does the research between middle class and those people who've elevated from middle class to self-made millionaire or a billionaire. Self-made, we know, right? And they know also that if there's someone out there that could do it better, enlist that help, versus those of us who started in the middle class or stay in the middle class. I can do it myself. The entire DIY mindset, 9 out of 10 times. Yeah. And it's the opposite for the self-made millionaires and billionaires. So if there's someone who could do it better. So what I start to look at is, all right, what am I really good at? What am I procrastinating? Right? Yeah. I tell myself I can do it, but I'm not.
Right.
So I need to start looking at these things to get some help. And I need to build my budget. I need to make sure my forecast. This is one of the things I work on with every single CEO, modern CEO who comes into my orbit. What's our forecast? Because we're going to make decisions around that for how much we invest in ads.
Right.
Similarly, we're going to make decisions around that for how much we can invest in a team. And we placeholder it right in your forecast. If you're thinking about hiring in 6 months, let's put that in the forecast. You might even put it in the forecast now and start tucking that money away, right? That aside, so you're like, all right, I'm 6 months in. I have 6 months of salary. I like to keep my operating expenses, not necessarily ads, right? But I like to keep 3 to 6 months of my operating expenses in the bank account. So I have that peace of mind.
And when you say operating expenses, so people get really clear on this means paying for your team. It also means paying yourself. And it means paying any software, overhead, those types of things, right?
Yeah. The expenses you need and have to run the business, not necessarily the cost of sales or the variable expenses, because your sale pays for the cost of sales. So operating expenses, like the business doesn't run without this. We have our email system, right? I need to send my emails. I might be able to downgrade that plan, as we definitely did in 2020 with all of our plans, right? So we brought down our operating expenses because sales went down also, but I want to make sure that's covered.
Right. Yeah.
So start setting that aside, right? And this is a little bit a difference of, right, just running a business by the seat of our pants and stepping into that modern CEO role is know your numbers, right? Map them out, and that fear starts to melt away.
Right.
Then on the team side and managing people, I don't want to manage a large team either. I don't really want to have to manage people. My sister worked with me, and we have a team of more than 50 women employees and contractors in our photography business. And we've got only one employee in Amber McCue Consulting and Contractors. And my sister interned for me way back when we were starting the business. And she started calling me her boss. And I was like, I couldn't, it made me feel all sorts of things. And I realized I don't want to manage that way. I don't want to live that way. I want people to be self-guided, self-directed, able to self-manage. Do I want to support you? Do I want to love you? Do I want to help you have a career path? Yes. But we are partners in this every step of the way. You have a role to play. I have a role to play. And what are our roles? And also, going back to the hiring process, when I hired Malia, and every time I hire someone that I'm going to be working closely with now, I'm very clear on what my quirks are, right?
Right.
We've all got them. We've all got like our brand of wonky and funny and, oh, she does that. Okay. So just what are your quirks? And tell them to people when you're bringing them on, because Gemma, when we give a realistic job preview, people are more likely to stay with us because yes, this is what I signed up for. Same thing in our programs, our products, our services. I want to know, yes, this is what I signed up for and I'm getting what I signed up for, versus if we don't give people the full picture, right? I'm going to be a great manager. We'll have weekly meetings. I'll check in with you every Friday. No, I won't.
Yep.
You'll come in, you're like, you said this is what it was going to be like,
Right.
right? So you want to interview for someone who matches up with who you are. And yes, we're constantly improving, but not a version of who we think we should be. We are who we are, and you're pretty flippin' awesome. So share that with people.
Love that.
Like, a very specific example with Malia. I have a systems mindset, but I could not be a modern CEO and take care of all my systems as well. And so I specifically let her know, I'm like, I know that I talk about systems right now. As of February, the year we were talking to her, like, I dropped all systems. There's nothing documented. It's a mess. Right. Think about that.
Yeah.
And we just dialogued about it. I was vulnerable and I wanted to know I could be vulnerable with her.
That's right. Oh, that's good. I feel like I'm taking some stuff away from that. I think I've got to go and get more. It's funny. I'm a numbers driven person when I'm looking at data around how things are working in my business, or I do like quarterly reviews, even monthly reviews, but projecting, not my strong suit. And so I think that's one of the big takeaways I'm going to take from our conversation is like, I actually need to think about projections and what the future is going to look like. And that will allow me to diminish some fear that I have around hiring.
Yeah. And let me know. I've got all sorts of resources for that. So we can powwow on that anytime you're ready.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
So you have built a really incredible, loyal following, I feel like, over the years that you've been running your business. Do you have, like, what stands out to you as being some of the marketing strategies that you feel have really worked the best for you in terms of cultivating that audience?
I really believe, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't. I say I really believe, but maybe I don't. I do believe in consistency was what I was going to say. And, but I also believe in being real. And I'm not a machine. I've had to get really real. I was just thinking this morning about an Instagram quote I might cook up. You can let me know what you think of this. That yet I am not superhuman. I'm super human. As in,
I can't do it all.
I can't do it all. Like, and my social media is really real. And someone's like, you haven't been on social for a while. You haven't posted on my personal Facebook page for a while. I'm like, you're right. I've been loving and living and enjoying so many different things right now. And bumps and ups and downs and migraines, I've just been doing life.
Yeah.
And so I believe in consistency. If you go to my social media, you might challenge that. But here's what I think has been really helpful and really effective. The Planathon, for example.
Right.
Every year for 9 years. And so we have a couple of core, like if we had a flagship store, so to speak, this is our flagship experience. It's our flagship event. And, I say what I mean, even if it doesn't get the sale, like, I am so glad you're here. Don't buy anything, right? If it doesn't make sense, right? I just want to support and love and pour into people. And continuing with the Planathon, for example, one way that we do that is that in the Planathon, it gets a little bit harder as each year expands and grows. So we think of new strategies to bring this to life. But at the very beginning, I'm like, okay, I have a goal to make sure every comment in our planning event for entrepreneurs gets a reply.
Wow. That's amazing.
Right. It was awesome. I felt very connected. I could see exactly what people needed. We adapted, we adjusted. And then as we grew a little bit, I'm like, okay, I have a goal to make sure everybody at least gets a like.
Right.
Like, I see you, I hear you. I can't reply to everything. Oh, so badly I want to, but with 20,000 people in the experience, it shifts a little bit. But I think about how can we create scalable intimacy, still connecting with people, still loving on people, and learning from each other in this experience and scaling that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. I've heard you actually reference that scalable intimacy idea before, and that's a good one. And I think actually when you say that, I'd forgotten sort of that term and you talking about that. And I think when I think of you and your audience, like, I do think that that's been part of your real kind of secret sauce or whatever for growing that loyal audience, is because they do feel like it's an intimate place to be, even if there are 20,000 people in there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's super cool to hear, and sometimes when you hear those things, you're like, really? Really? Oh, thanks. That means so much.
Totally. Okay. I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about, you mentioned this a bit briefly in the intro, but like travel is an important thing for you and your family, and sort of connected with your husband's job. I know it's really important for me too, in terms of our lifestyle. How have you sort of made travel both a priority and make it work with your running of your business, raising of your kids? Like how, any tips or just like, anything there?
Yeah, definitely. The other sort of phrase that I like these anchors in my life. Like, what are we doing here? Everything's right on time. I don't know what we're doing, but it's going to be right on time. And an example that really embodies this, I think, is we were on our way to the Dulles airport, getting ready to move to Ethiopia. And the timing, we were moving 8 months late. We were supposed to be moving to the Congo. We had our entire temporary apartment. So we weren't even in our place. We were in a temporary place, and everything was moved out, and we got a call at the apartment. I'm looking at an empty space. The movers had just left Annapolis with all of our stuff in the van. And my husband said, yeah, okay, just call to check in and we're not moving. I'm like, no, what do you mean we're not moving? We already moved. The stuff is gone. We have 8 suitcases. And he said, yeah, change of plans. We're not going to the Congo. We're going to go somewhere else. And we don't know where. Like, okay, pivot right on time. And it's funny, 6 months prior to that, I asked for like, what's my lesson? What's my thing? What do I need? I just asked, right? Asked the universe, asked wide open. And I'd been gifting this idea of right on time to my clients for a long time. Like, we're late for a call. Nah, you're right on time. Like, it's all good. We're good.
Right.
And I realized I wasn't gifting that to myself. So I asked for these lessons. And so I got them, like, okay, we're going to practice. So we moved for 8 months. I think 13 moves. And then we got to Ethiopia, 2 more moves. But we were driving up to the Dulles airport, and we got out of the car, and a porter came up to help us with our 8 suitcases that we had taken with us these 8 months, every Airbnb change. And the porter said, where are you going? We shared that we were going to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And he said, no way, I'm from Ethiopia. I used to live in Addis. Like, okay, well, that's not a coincidence. And then he said, everything's always late there. Don't stress yourself out. Nothing that you want is going to happen as you expect. So just be ready.
Oh,
like, okay.
My goodness.
I needed that lesson.
Totally.
So this is more of a philosophical way of living strategy for all of that travel and bouncing around, but every step of the way, right on time. And sometimes that means we miss the flight. Sometimes that means I can't get in for a call that I planned while I'm traveling. So I've got a backup. Like when we were in Ethiopia, internet wasn't great. So I would Zoom. If that didn't work, I would call in there were 3 levels. Oh yeah, I'd call in from my phone, was the 3rd level. And the middle tier was I'd have a puck with backup internet.
Oh my gosh.
So I had multiple levels. And this is like generally the kids roll with stuff. We tell them in advance what the plan is, but we remind them like right on time. Like, and Audrey, one time we were getting upgraded from our safari glamping tent to the family tent. They're like, oh, the family tent's free. We're going to move you to that. And Audrey's, no, I love where we are right now. They can't move us. What if that place isn't as good? And so surrendering and releasing to our expectations. Yes, we make the plans, but magic is hiding in all sorts of places. So being open to that has really been the best mantra lesson that we could take forward. And
I feel like I need to rewind and listen to that whole thing again, because you just dropped so many quotable things that we could turn into some cute graphics That
And I'll
was
reshare.
so good. Yes, exactly.
It's awesome.
So good. Before we wrap up, I do want to also ask about the giving back that you do as part of being a business owner. Because even things like, I don't know if you remember this, but I remember you doing a photography project when you were in Ethiopia, and I was like following you along as you were doing that. And I reached out to get some names for some like interesting organizations that you were like seeing on the ground. And because we're always kind of looking for cool organizations that we have like a little running list, and we try and do some, not only, charitable giving, but I love to volunteer, like here in where I am, just locally too. So, and I know that that's important to you. How have you been able to incorporate that into kind of your business, or how you run things?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first time we did that, we did a weekend special on a product that we have called the Fresh Start Workbook.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a weekend special. Anybody who buys, it was probably like Thanksgiving weekend or something like this. Anybody who buys this weekend or before the last weekend of the year, we're giving all of the profit to an organization that we found on Kiva. Kiva?
Cool. Yeah, I think it's Kiva.
Okay. So that was the first time. Like, all right, we want to give back. We want to sell this product, and we want to move inventory because it was a physical product. We don't want it to go to waste,
right.
But we also wanted to incorporate something into it because of the season. And then we've done things like that over the years. But when we went to Ethiopia, I've always wanted to give of my time as well. And I had shared with someone that I was a photographer, had a new camera. I don't take pictures very often anymore, but I know, I can do some things still. And so she's like, oh, will you do this? It'll be at 4 a.m. We wanted to get pictures of the boys on the street when we wake them up before they come to our center for the day. Because as they transition boys from living on the street to being in a center, they don't just move them. It's a transition. They have to want to go. So that was the first time when I'm like, right on time. I've been wanting to do something hands-on. I certainly want to get immersed in the culture of the place where I'll be living for 2 years. So that was an instant yes. And then from there, we've continued to give back to that organization, Make Your Mark. They actually just opened a girls' home as well, which I'm so excited about, moving women from difficult situations, right? Living in abusive environments, prostitution, doing whatever they can to take care of their children, wherever they're living and working at the time. And so they've set up a home, which now we contribute to monthly. So it went from sort of being this project event-based thing to a continual giving, but always looking for wherever we are present, wherever I'm on the ground. Yes, we give to people remotely as well, but wherever I'm on the ground, how can I learn something? And I also spent time with an organization in Ethiopia where we gave back to many organizations, and it was just phenomenal, the hearts that people have. And like, I have to support you. If I can run a business, I can support you. I'm not living in, the countryside of Ethiopia, serving people real time every day, but I can give through my business. So totally. End to end, so many great organizations out there. And Gemma, I think I doubted for a long time, right? It's sitting here and you hear stories like nonprofits, are they really giving back? What are they really doing? And they're kicking butt. There is so much incredible stuff happening out there. So to be a part of that and to support that, how we can through our business is awesome. So if anybody else needs recommendations, hit me up. I will share.
Yeah, I love that. It's interesting. That was the world I came from. So I have a master's in public health and I worked for a lot of nonprofit organizations. So for me, when I started my business, the early days was different, but when I really started to get going with my business and make significant revenue, I suddenly had this light bulb moment of thinking to myself, oh my God, I can actually do more by running this entirely different business. Because people in my personal life, they're like, you do what? Weren't you doing, project management and working at, I worked at Planned Parenthood Ottawa and in all of these organizations. And it seems so weird that I'm now in marketing in this whole digital space, but I realized I can do more. There's more potential for me. Part of my sort of reason for wanting to blow my business up and make it $1 million or more business a year is because I can use that and have an incredible impact with not only giving money, but then freeing up my time to volunteer and do stuff too, than I ever would have been trying to scrape together fundraising in the nonprofits I was working for. And like, we were lucky if we could get like a $10,000 grant to do a bit of work, you know? And so, cause it's always been a bit of a juggle for me personally of like finding the fulfillment that I'm after. And actually this is a pathway to living out both.
Yeah. And it's phenomenal how things can come together when we get intentional, we identify, you had mentioned this earlier in our conversations today, that how stubborn you are. And I love it. Like I shared with you privately that I just need to get more stubborn. When we are stubborn and we like, no, this is what I'm going after. And we go like, you can get it if we are open. So, and there's this balance of right, stubborn. Yes, this is the mission, but open to how it can happen. Like this is when things come, and I'm going through a little bit of a new surrender season myself. I'm like, all right, you got to focus on what you want and then let things happen.
Totally. The magic. So good, Amber. Thank you for coming on and chatting with us today. I think everybody just got a serious dose of inspiration and are leaving this conversation with, just like feeling really passionate about what they're doing. So where can people give people the scoop on where they can find you?
I can be found at ambermccue.com. Also, Amber McCue is my handle over on Instagram. I would love to connect with you. Reach out anytime.
And everybody, I'll make sure that we also have the link to the Planathon, but I am involved in Amber's Planathon event this coming year, which I'm so excited about. So we'll make sure that that's there too. If you want to join the 20,000 plus folks who are going to be signing up for it this year, it is a really fun event to join. So Amber, thank you so much for spending the time today. So appreciate it.
Thank you.